I am sick. I'm going to be sneezing a lot. So last episode, I talked about where all of this started. The homeschooling, the religious household, the media that kind of made me scared of making friends. And I said I'd finish the story this episode, what happened after, and what I'm actually trying to do about it now. So here we are. Welcome back to Puzzled. My name is Puzzle, and in this podcast, I sit down every Monday with a topic and a puzzle or a puzzle game. And today we're continuing Unpacking. Now, before I continue, I'm going to mention, I noticed in my YouTube analytics that a lot of people are really liking Unpacking specifically. I have the highest viewer retention on these videos, and I'm talking like average 96% viewed. Like every person who has clicked on these videos has watched almost to the end. So, I don't know what's up with that, but hi, if you're a casual viewer having this on the TV in the background, or you fell asleep with Unpacking playlist running in the background. I hope you're sleeping well. Bah! Huh. Not anymore. So yeah, that is kind of bizarre. I don't know why. Oh, I'm so sick. I don't know why this is getting so much traction. I'm not going to complain because I might get my watch hours that I need for monetization. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm putting these are GameCube games. I'm putting them in the wrong place. They need to go in the entertainment center. All right, so anyway, I will do as promised. I will continue talking about why it's so hard to make friends as an adult, at least specifically for me. I went to a trade school after high school, and it was once a week. It started daily, and I really enjoyed that. But after the initial first few weeks, it was once a week assignments, and we were encouraged to work in person on campus, but we didn't need to. Failed opportunity on my part there. I really should have taken that up. But sorry, I'll get back to what I'm saying. And when I started, I was like, okay, this is it. This is when I get peers. This is when I make friends. People always talk about college being where you make the most important connections and relationships. And so I went in with those expectations. What's going on with my phone? It's just about work. But you know, people my age, we build stuff together, we learn together, we party together, that kind of stuff, right? And then I started school there, and it turned out it wasn't really like that. I started when I was 19, and most everyone there was in their late 20s to mid 40s. Not exactly my demographic. You know, these were great people. I liked them, they liked me. We keep in contact with each other, but this isn't like, these aren't people I can share my life experience with. These aren't people that are going through the same life cycle that I am, you know? And so it was just another room where I was the wrong age. If you remember from the previous Making Friends episode, talking about how my older siblings, you know, kind of the closest things I had to friends growing up were my older siblings' friends, and you know, I kind of got used to talking to people older than me, but I don't know, there's still a little bit of a disconnect there. No matter how good you get at it, there's still a person in a different age group than you know? Ooh, umbrellas. Don't look, my nose is dripping. Editor blurred this out, this is disgusting. I'm gonna blow my nose. People who are in a different stage of life. Good people that I'm glad that I met, people that I keep in contact with to this day, but people who aren't my peers. There were about, I'd say, 3 people who are my age. I kept up with a few of them pretty well throughout school. I keep in contact with a couple of them now. But, you know, these aren't people that I hang out with. These are people that I just kind of interact with on social media. I don't know if that's fault of my own. I mean, oh, that's not what I mean. I shocked myself into silence there. I'm gonna take my jacket off. It's really warm in here. By the way, if you're one of those passive watchers of Unpacking, hi, I'm a small creator. Let me try that again. Hi, I'm a small creator. Interact with my stuff, you know, like it, comment on it. And since I'm nearing the end of Unpacking, let me know what other games like this I should do on this podcast. You know, puzzle games, something that I can passively do while I talk about my life, stories from my childhood, a topic. But anyways, then I graduated, and I graduated at the I graduated at the same time as AI. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. I graduated December 2025, and that was exactly lined up with some pretty crazy AI developments. Job market for junior developers absolutely catastrophically took a nosedive. And so the job that I have now and had then, I've had now from then to now, I'm overcomplicating this with the sentence. The job that I started and that I currently have is for my dad, and it's a job that I very much enjoy and appreciate. The pay is very good. The experience is awesome. I'm working on some very fun projects, but my only in-person coworker is my dad, and my only in-person coworker here at my home office is Luna, my puppy, and those are both good company. Those aren't peers, you know? It's still that problem. It's still not peers. So I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Like, when did I have the opportunity to learn this? Have I just gotten the cards dealt wrong this whole time? No fault of my own, but have I just not had the right circumstance to make friends? I've just not been in the right position. It was my choice to go to a trade school rather than a traditional college. It was very adamantly my choice. I really wanted to do it, and I'm very glad I did it. I did so well, and I would have done horribly. I don't know that for certain. I feel like I would have done horribly. I feel like I would have done horribly at a traditional college. I have ADHD. If you're a new viewer, I have trouble thinking of every video as someone's potential first video to watch, so I don't put everything into perspective every single time, but I have and am diagnosed with ADHD, and it is the combined type, hyperactive and inattentive, and that's not a great combo for traditional that's not a great combo for traditional learning styles. We could talk about the teaching system, the schooling system, the learning system by itself as a topic. You know, that whole system's flawed and messed up and bad, even for normal people, quote unquote normal people, those to no such thing. But especially for those who have trouble fitting in the mold, fitting in the cupcake container, you know, fitting in the Jello gelatin plastic shape, the Christmas tree, the Easter bunny, Easter eggs, whatever Jello mold shapes there are. I only ever did Jello eggs growing up. We have trouble fitting into those. And, you know, I do understand that it's very difficult even for the neurotypicals in the world. But it's very difficult for us not so neurotypical. So I'm glad that I chose to do a trade school, and a trade school that focused on project-based learning, because that is what I choose to do in my free time. Projects. I love projects. I'm always doing projects. I'm always finding a project to spend all my free time on and not recharge my energy or anything. I'm just doing projects nonstop. I don't think it's good for me, but it's great for me. If there's one thing that I'd say I like the most about this game, I think it's the audio design. The sounds are just so nice. You stick my files in the file cabinet. That makes sense, right? Art. I need to sneeze. I have an outline here that I try to follow. I'm still in section 1 of 5. Buckle up. You're in for a long, fun episode. The people at the trade school, I respected. I liked. They liked me. I didn't. There were. I shouldn't speak beyond my knowledge, but to my knowledge, no rivalries, no bad blood. It's a very progressive school, very inclusive, very supportive of people with, different learning styles, different home situations, different financial situations. That's the reason why I was able to afford it, is because I went there for free. That's pretty cool, yeah? I went there for free, and it's income-based revenue share debt payment thing. I still have not paid a single penny because I've not made enough money to, and I'm not gaining interest on my debt. So that is pretty neat, and it automatically gets forgiven after 4 years. So I might not ever spend a penny. That would be a different problem. Me never making enough money to pay for it is kind of, showing a different problem. What's the word I'm looking for? Like it's evidence of a different problem, if you know what I mean. But it's good for me because that means I get to keep all of I get to keep all my income. What is this? Oh, paper, printer paper. Printer paper. Put that in the printer cabinet. I'm also gonna put this in the printer cabinet. Okay, I'm talking here. Listen up. Or don't. It's fine either way. You don't have to listen. You can go. It's all right. We've come this far, so you're gonna stay. I respected the people there, and I don't know if this is necessarily true, but I kind of got the feeling that I was the teacher's pet for a few of the instructors. They're not teachers, they're instructors. Sorry. Proper terminology. And I was, and I'm gonna sound like I'm very self-congratulatory right now. That's not a word, but it is now. I was the kind of student that piped up and helped people when I saw the need, and I didn't overstep it. There were some other students who piped up and helped when the instructor did not need that and did not want that. Those people also didn't get in trouble, for the record, but I could tell that some people were overstepping, whereas I feel like when I did it, it was appreciated, and it was always explicitly appreciated with a text message or in-person thank, where it's like, you really stepped up today, you really helped out, we appreciate it. And so I made a lot of good connections, a lot of solid acquaintances and team players at school. In the first couple weeks, I think the first full month, we went there every single day. This is a big picture. This is the D&D party, isn't it? So I'm going to put it above the TV. So yeah, the first month solid was school every single day. And we learned a new concept every single day. And the way that it was formatted was challenges. So like we would solve problems in our terminals on our individual computers, and we weren't taught lessons or lectures. We weren't given textbooks to read. We were given problems and told to use the internet and our brains to solve them. And I was always among the first to solve them. Once again, not self-congratulatory. I'm just telling a story here, all right? Take it however you want. Call me a self-centered, hot-headed, conceited rat. I don't care. It's not like that'll do anything to my self-confidence. Am I right? The non-existent self-confidence that doesn't exist. I was always among the first to complete the challenges, and so I was always ready to help. And boy, oh boy, was that a thrill. I love being wanted, being needed, being appreciated, being called on for help. Maybe to a unhealthy extent. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's bad. Maybe it's good. Who can say for certain? But I was a person who people called on for help, and I always helped. There were people who low-key almost hired me for personal tutoring. These are people who were 5 to 10 years older than me that didn't know that until I accidentally revealed my age, in which case I feel like people started looking at me differently after people knew how old I was. But I was still a person there to help, and a person... Since I was able to break the ice by being a person who helped, I would also be roped into casual conversations. And boy, oh boy, did I like that. That was pretty awesome. That was pretty neat. Being able to talk to other adults that I and only I knew, no other family members, no other mutual friends, just me and them in our own little circle talking about our school troubles that only us had. And I don't think I capitalized off of those connections enough. I was living it up in the moment, but I didn't solidify those connections enough to be considered friends. So that brings us to where I am today, where I'm like, well, I haven't really seen them since then, and I haven't really made efforts to see them since then, because it's kind of awkward at this point, you know? Maybe it isn't awkward, maybe it just feels awkward to me, but who knows? Okay. But as time went on with the trade school, people started failing out and leaving. And as the class size dwindled from 90 to maybe 20 to 25, I started noticing the age gap a little bit. Aged glap. Gladle blade. I started noticing the age gap a lot clearer, because the percentage stayed the same, but since the numbers dwindled, the number of people my age poofed out of existence pretty quickly, to where it was just me and 2 of the people my age. There was, maybe a couple other people who I thought to be near my age until I found out they were older, in which case I don't really care, because if I connect with them on a certain level, that's a scenario where the age doesn't matter as much as the connection you have with that person. So I was glad to connect with people. I loved my group, my final group for the final project of the year. We worked together so well. I honestly regret that we didn't do any hangout as a group in addition to our final project, but it's too late for that. We did do a lot of in-person co-working days, and I'm very thankful for that. But we were all adults, we were all busy. You do what works. You do what works for you. And we did what worked for us. And it worked pretty well, and we did awesome. We got a perfect grade. We made a perfect project. I don't think that's entirely correct. We made a very cool project. And that was that. Graduated, celebrated, said our goodbyes, and I have not seen any of them in person since, and that was over a year ago. Haven't made efforts to see them? No. I've interacted with a few of them online. Like, I pretty closely interact with a couple of them on social media, and so, you know, I'd consider those few people to be just across the line of acquaintance and friend. You know, where like, I don't think I'd invite them to a birthday party, but I'd invite them if a big group of people are going to a movie, you know, something like that, where like, I don't know, is that still an acquaintance? A lot of the time, I guess it comes down to personal definitions. And that is up to you. I think it's funny how our character still has the same toothbrush, toothpaste cup. So anyways, yeah. Fast forward to now. And I'm working a job where I am my only peer. My other coworkers I either haven't ever seen in person and are my dad's age, or are my dad. And, you know, as I stated earlier, great company, great coworker, great boss, not a peer. Most adults get their low stakes social reps through their workplace environment. You know, the age old, not phrase, not saying, but like the idiom water cooler talk. That is a well-known, well-familiar medium for people to connect. And that is a town square that I don't have access to. Ah, the most important item of the bathroom. There we go. Well, I wouldn't be able to see it. There we go. Alright, we got the Febreze on the toilet. Is this mouthwash or shampoo? Okay, that's shampoo. Okay, these are all bath stuff. We don't have room. Oh, wait, we'd be able to reach that. We don't have room. Okay. Wow. Wow. Okay, that hangs up there. This. What? Huh? Where would this brush go? The kitchen? That's weird. Yeah, that definitely goes in there. Alright, kitchen's done. Office is done. Bedroom is done. Alright, so it's just the bathroom. Wow, I'm doing actually a pretty good job. I'm gonna put my pain meds in here. And my other products. Alright. Shower stuff. Sorry, I was covering my mouth. Shower stuff up here. And that's it. What? Oh boy, living room. Oopsie daisy. Okay. Just more books, honestly, right? All right, these are all game discs. And then these are stuffies. These go on the bed. This will go with the chicken family. All right, we're done. Time for the time lapse and more talk lapse. I'll figure out where to get a couch from later. Oh yeah, this is the person's first house to themselves, or I guess apartment to themselves. And that is an iconic thing. Your first apartment or house, the couch is one of the last things you get. Unless you're gifted one from like a friend or a family friend. So I don't have that water cooler talk at all. I don't get that. I not only didn't get those normal practice phases growing up, but I also don't get the maintenance reps that people use with their trained bodies to keep that social fitness in shape. This is a weird metaphor, but I'm gonna stick with it. And it means every social interaction I ever have feels like it has to be very intentional because I'm running algorithms of possibilities and branching paths and stuff with every interaction because it doesn't come naturally. And that makes it a lot harder. It raises the stakes. What does... my foot got caught on a cord. What does a typical social week look like to you if you consider yourself a normal person? Like, is it, you know, you go to your gym in the morning and you bring one or two of your coworker buddies that work out with you. I'm gonna blow my nose. This is gonna be disgusting. This is gonna be horrible. It's gonna be horrid. I hope you blurred that, editor. That was disgusting. What does a typical week look like to a normal person, a normal social person? The workplace stuff, the casual drinking in the evening. I don't know. I don't know what's normal and what's in movies. I don't know where that overlap is, you know? And a result of all of these individual pieces coming together, haha, puzzle metaphor, a result of my life branches leading to this point is I tend to overvalue friendships and get anxious about the severity, not severity, but the realness of the relationship and like how important every action is. And it makes me hold on too tight or feel very sad. But hold on too tight in a good relationship or feel sad when a relationship doesn't develop. And rejection feels bigger because I have less of a social circle to fall back on. And I use projects and collaborations as a substitute for closeness. I mean, it's not really a substitute because I do it with people that I hang out with already anyway. And these are people who I can already say, hey, let's hang out. But instead I tend to say, hey, let's make something together. Right. I'm going to push. Yeah, I'm going to go to the next one, but I'm not going to start it yet because we're going to finish out the episode without doing the puzzle. That was the puzzle for this episode. Now I'm just going to finish talking. I think one of my mistakes is I fill up my social calendar. I have a social commitment every day of the week, every week. Like I have a thing every Monday night. I have a thing every Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. I keep Fridays open, but those things I have consistent. And I do that to make sure I stay social, but those things are locked in with people I already know and they're not networking opportunities or anything like that. They're close-ended. And so now I have an excuse to not do things, go places, etc. because my social calendar is full. I'm being social. So I don't need to feel bad about not making time for those other things. But I feel like it's kind of a self-destructive excuse that doesn't make sense. Here we're going to have a stat break. Time for a stat. I like bringing stats in, and I think I forgot to in the last few episodes. So a stat. A 2023 Survey Center on American Life report found that the share of Americans with no close friends increased fivefold from 1990. It's gone from 3% of Americans to 15%. And that same report found that young men in particular have seen the sharpest decline in close friendships. A Harvard study found that 21% of US adults say they feel lonely, and that number rises among people who work remotely or live alone. I don't live alone. I live with my partner and our dog, but I do work remotely, and I don't have that work social circle thing. And I looked this up because I want to know if it really is a rising thing or if it's just kind of a stagnant thing. I do think it's rised with social media. It's rised with COVID that led to more remote work. I think all these things do play into that stat rising. But that's weird because, with social media, we're supposed to be more connected than ever, right? But they truly are algorithms that make us feel more lonely. When we're using them, we have this drugged feeling of being connected, and then once we step away, we're like, oh, I was staring at a little plastic metal glass thing with a flashing light in it. I wasn't doing anything with anyone. And then you feel guilty and gross and disgusting and sulk. And by you, I mean me. So, final point. This week, I'm trying. This is my final section of every puzzled episode, and this is where I'm like, action time. Action time. Last Making Friends episode, I didn't have an action item because I was in the middle of this episode that was going to be one episode. If you stayed around this long, did you notice the office is rearranged? This isn't a new house. This is the same office. I did flip everything around and rearrange everything. So, yeah, I just thought maybe you noticed that, maybe you didn't. I just thought I'd mention that anyway. This week I'm trying. This is the part where I go forward promise I made at the end of part 1. At the end of part 1, I was like, I'm going to have a going forward promise at the end of part 2. So here it is. So, option A. I must send a message this week to a person I genuinely want to know better, an acquaintance that I want to turn into a friend. A specific invite with a specific ask. Like, hey, Super Mario Galaxy movie is coming out next week. Would you like to go with me and a couple friends? Or, oh no, I was gonna say, hey, I'm working on this coding project. Do you want to work on it with me? Honestly, that could be fine. That could be fine because it's something that works for me. And if it doesn't work for them, then maybe they don't work for me as a person, as a friend, One part of finding friends is finding people that you enjoy doing stuff with. And you can't do vague, broad, coffee, movie, bowling. Everyone likes those things. Do something that is a specific interest, and if they don't like it, cut that loss. It's okay. They can remain an acquaintance. If they don't truly find value and excitement in things you do, maybe they shouldn't be a close friend. Am I making excuses again? Am I defending why I don't have close friends again? Why this would work? It would create a shared memory, which is my actual love language and my actual stability in relationships, is doing something with someone. Intentional. So, that's option A. Option B. Stop outsourcing the closeness to content. Do something with the person that isn't recorded, posted, or productive. Just time. No output. So, I honestly don't know what this would be. Well, okay. That's lying. Sorry. I went several steps forward in the conversation in my head, and I responded to step 19 that I didn't say out loud, saying that's it. I know how to hang out with people without recording and making content. Obviously, I do that. I need to actually go to the things I'm invited to. I'm invited to alumni things for the school I went to. I don't go to those. I get invited to a thing here in Tulsa called Sunset Social. That is a networking opportunity for pretty much anyone over the age of 21. I should go to that. I've been invited to a community group, a large community group in a local church that I have many acquaintances at that I want to turn into friends, but haven't been putting any effort into doing that. I should go to that. I haven't figured it out. I do have a bigger network than I did in high school, but I'm 22 and I still don't know where my social life is going. But I think the first step for me is admitting that and admitting what I want. Not just a community, but people around me that are peers, that I can vent to, that can vent to me, have something deeper than just a community. Because community is important, and I have a community. I have a strong community in many different circles, but I want peers. And I think that means something different, something much stronger than just community. And I'm going to stop waiting for that to happen by accident. I'm going to put some effort into it. Thank you for sitting through this episode of Puzzled. I really appreciate you hanging out here with me, especially if you're a new viewer or a exclusively Unpacking viewer. Thank you for watching the Unpacking videos, but you're going to run out pretty soon, and you've enjoyed spending this time with me, so why not check out one of my other series or suggest to me a game that you want to see someone new play and that someone new be me. Anyway, these were my stories and my thoughts about adults and how are we supposed to make friends. And I hope that this episode has left you a little less puzzled.